Hey guys, Sally here. Hope you're having an amazing and fascinating day. I know I am. But pretty much every day is like that for me. Hope you can say the same. We're going to talk today about a little status update, what's going on, what's been happening, and so forth, what my upcoming plans are, because my life has been kind of turned upside down by nothing more than a rock. So we're going to talk about that in just a minute, right after we roll the intro. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you think you're subscribed, double check to make sure you still are, because YouTube spontaneously unsubscribes people. Give us a thumbs up, leave a comment down below. All that stuff really helps, and I'm trying really hard to get to 1,000 subscribers so that I'll be in the position to, start collecting some of those ads, some of the revenue from those ads that you're forced to watch anyway. All right, let's roll the intro. Alright, so I'm going to call this Lemonade from Lemons, because I could have just focused on the lemons or maybe used another fruit analogy of sour grapes, but I'm not going to do that, because that's not how I roll. So, what's the deal with the rock? Now, the deal is, I have been in this RV park now for 2 weeks, as of today, and as my technicians were finishing up my solar install a little over a week and a half ago, there was a park employee that was weed eating on the driver's side of my rig and accidentally kicked up a stone with the weed eater, which then ended up shattering my living room window. So at this point, I've been kind of stuck here, and it's kind of a big deal trying to get a replacement, because these are not, it's not like windshield glass. You can't just call like an auto glass place and get the glass replaced. These are Lippert frameless awning style windows, so this window is actually 3 separate panels. The part across the top is solid, it doesn't open, and then below that are 2 panels that open to allow airflow and so forth. So started off by calling the Phoenix Cruiser manufacturing plant and got in touch with their parts department there, and they said, yeah, no, we don't have any spare windows we can send you. But they gave the park owner the part number and then sent him to Lippert. Lippert says, yeah, we don't actually make those, we sub them out to somebody else. So called that manufacturer, and they said, oh yeah, we can make one for you, it'll be 4 to 6 weeks. Yikes! Not what I was expecting, not what the park owner was expecting. So we're working diligently to try and find some other solution that's not going to be 4 to 6 weeks. But again, let's make lemonade out of lemons. And first of all, I have to say, the park has been terrific. This is the Texan RV Park, which is also home to the National RV Training Academy, which means that I'm surrounded by a lot of really talented people, both the instructors for the NRVTA and a lot of the techs that are here taking classes. So it's been, as these things go, it's been a much better situation than it might otherwise have been. Let's back up and talk about how I ended up discovering some problems that I didn't know I had. So I've got this awesome solar installation that Jeremy and Caleb did, and I'll put a link to that video up here someplace. I always forget which side that is. Anyway, I'll put a link up there for that. I now have 800 watts of solar on the roof. I've got 560 amp hours of Big Beard lithium batteries. I've got, the 3000 watt Victron Multiplus inverter and all of the other bits and pieces that make this happen. Great system. And Caleb and Jeremy did an amazing job on my installation. But during the course of this, one of the things that happened was, as they're making the final connections and then testing out everything to make sure it's working correctly, it was working fine from shore power, and then they went to fire up the generator, and the generator was producing power that was dirty enough that the inverter did not want to accept it, and it kept shutting down. So then the next thought they had was I had a faulty, we didn't know that was the problem. They thought maybe I had a faulty automatic transfer switch. So we went looking for that. And when it wasn't in any of the obvious places and I had no idea where it was, they pulled the drawer out from underneath the bed on the driver's side and discovered I had a water leak down there. Didn't have the ATS down there. transfer switch wasn't there, but I did have a water leak, so now I got that to deal with. And again, the Phoenix Cruiser manufacturer, really great people as well. Caleb called him up and asked them if they could tell him where the automatic transfer switch was, and they could, so now we know where it is. And the transfer switch was fine. What we figured out was, this coach is a 2017, and the generator only had 53 hours of use on it when I got it 2 months ago. I've got about 70 hours on it now. And so, what that really comes down to is it had not been maintained. And it hadn't even really been exercised appropriately. I mean, think about it this way. You're supposed to exercise a generator at least once a month under load. And so if you've got a rig that's 6 years old, that's 60 months. You wouldn't necessarily be running it an hour to do that all the time, but I'm pretty sure it probably rarely, if ever, happened at all. Because way too many people think that maintenance is only dependent on like mileage or hours rather than the time that has elapsed as well. So, because of having sat for such a long time in between uses, what seemed most likely is that the carburetor was gummed up. And then the other thing, let's back up to the solar again, we'll come back to the generator. The other thing that came up as part of the solar installation was I ended up putting 4 200-watt panels on the roof instead of the original 2 or 3 that I had been planning on. And once we got up to 800 watts and I've got all of this battery storage, then they're like, well, if you put a soft start on your AC, you'll have enough, you'll have the ability to be able to run your AC for like an hour or so on your batteries. Okay, well, that's a pretty cool idea. So we did that and discovered that the AC really needed to be serviced as well. So I'm here in this park with, great techs around. And one of the things that I already knew needed to happen before I got here was I had ordered a new macerator pump hose because, and I think this is truly a design flaw on the Phoenix Cruisers, really the only one that I've discovered, but they hold the macerator pump hose up against the wall of the storage compartment using brackets that have sharp edges that, as you vibrate down the road, can cause pinholes in the macerator pump hose. And, so if you're not familiar, that's for the sewer dump. So now imagine having pinholes in your hose. With the macerator pump, it's getting moved along under pressure. So it was a little bit like Mount Vesuvius. Needed a new macerator pump hose. So one of the guys here, Mike, graciously installed the new macerator pump hose for me some days ago. And then another guy, another tech here, Brad, did all of the rest of it. First he took care of the water leak, which, as it turns out, all of the fittings had probably vibrated loose back in that area, which is adjacent to the city water connection and the winterizing bypass area on the side of the coach. So tightened everything up. We left it not buttoned up for 24 hours. We could come back and make sure it really was all addressed. Got that one done. He serviced the AC on the roof for me, so that's all done. And then in servicing the generator, it turns out the oil was just fine. The filter was plenty clean. He took a can of Seafoam, and I think I've got a video clip of this I'll put in here. But what's this you got in your hand now, Brad?
So this is what you call Seafoam spray. This is a spray that you can put directly into the intake, cleans the entire inside of the engine, and does a really good job. Smokes like crazy while you're doing the cleaning because you're burning off some carbon in there, but it does really good. You pick it up at any AutoZone. I'm right by the exhaust here, and it's about to get really smoky when I start it up and do this.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right, so we're ready to go. We're gonna go ahead and get her going.
Bogging down the generator a little bit until he reached the point where it actually just shut down. And then you let it sit for like 5 minutes, and then you fire the generator back up again. It blows out a whole bunch of white smoke, as it's blowing out all the carbon and stuff that has collected in all the areas where you really don't want it collecting. So the generator is now running great, much better than it has the entire time that I've had this rig. So that's been cool. And again, I mean, I've got the opportunity to, be upset and carry on and whatever. I'm looking at it as lemonade. I got issues discovered that I didn't know were issues. I've gotten them all addressed. I feel much better about that. And not only has the park owners been doing a great job of trying to get this broken window addressed, but they have gone above and beyond by lending me a truck to use so I can get groceries and run errands and all that kind of stuff while we're trying to get this figured out. I really can't say enough good things about that. And I guess one of the things that I'm thinking is, what would your reaction be to this kind of stuff? Would you be upset about it? Or would you roll with the punches? So, would it be lemonade or sour grapes for you? Leave me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, thanks for watching. Oh, and I said I was going to talk about, what I got coming up. I don't know what I got coming up until I get something figured out here. I had some plans in place that toward the end of the month and beginning of November, I might end up having to change those. I sure hope not. But what I always know is that things always work out exactly the way that they're supposed to, even if I didn't know what that was up front. Even if it doesn't seem to be what I wanted. It's always fine. It's always exactly what it's supposed to be. So, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.